Formula One eSports series with Apex Online Racing. We're on the PC platform for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we're on a quest to find the fastest Formula One drivers in the virtual world. My name is Justin, and joining me for all of today's action, it's Chris.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is indeed round 2 of the qualifying rounds for the F1 eSports series here at Bahrain, and I might be looking forward to this just a little bit.
Yep, really looking forward to this. Of course, it was a thrilling race last time out in China. It even got a cheeky tweet out from the official F1 Twitter account, so it was so exciting that it just had to be shared with the 3 million plus followers of that Twitter account. We're getting ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix right now. The Bahrain Circuit, of course, features 15 corners and multiple overtaking locations, although the overwhelming favorite will likely be the Turn 1 hairpin at the end of the long DRS straight. Turn 4 offers an overtaking opportunity as well, while the high-speed nature of Turn 11 at the end of the second DRS zone makes it less appealing, but nonetheless, drivers will need to keep an eye on their mirrors. Same for the hairpin at Turn 8. It's a tricky circuit with a notorious corner in Sector 2. The double left-handers of 9 and 10 mean these drivers will be braking and turning all at the same time in a bid to not make a mistake at the undisputed most difficult corner on the track. Wycom's currently leading the championship ahead of Graham Carroll, and then comes Cam, and then Oslo, and then Ram. All of those, that is your top 5 as it stands right now. And we are actually loading into qualifying already.
With all 20 of our registered drivers with us. We were short of Enzo, he couldn't make it last week, but we have got a full grid, a full server, including us two, and it is indeed going to be very, very special. Yes, Turn 1 and Turn 4 are the common overtaking spots. If you're brave at Turn 8, obviously bearing in mind they have just come through the S section of 5, 6 and 7, 10, if they get 9 a little bit wrong, can have a bit of an overtaking opportunity. And 15 can, the final turn, if someone gets that one wrong, they can then get a decent run into turn on the start-finish straight heading down to Turn 1. So we are now getting our 12-minute qualifying underway. So the Q3 session with magically 20 drivers in it, because that's how F1 2017 works, folks. And let's see who's going to come out first. Now, speaking,
I've got my eye on the pit lane, we will get a great view to see who comes out first. Oh wow! I actually never noticed that it includes the names over the garage. That is incredible.
That it does.
We're looking at the Mercedes garage right now with Marco FD and Graham Carroll. Marco didn't have the best of races the last time out. Graham Carroll, however, though, was leading the race right up until the very end there.
Yeah, up to 3 corners where it was stolen from him in spectacular fashion. Now, having spoken to quite a few of the drivers leading up to today's race, quite a few people have a very similar idea on pit strategies, and that is, by and large, a one-stop strategy. Super softs or softs, generally super softs, onto the mediums. Now, unlike last week, where I found I had wildly varying pit strategies, which, interestingly, a lot of people didn't seem to follow. A lot of people were going for a one-stop. Well, that's what they were telling me. Of course, they could have been spinning me a yarn. And a lot of people went for the 2 stops. So we will see what we have here. As we have Nick Mido, the Red Bull, is first on track. Let's see who else we have. We have got Fizzy in the Pink Panther. We have Johnny John in the Renault. I think is making his way out as well. Kalon in the other Renault. A lot of people on track at the moment. And the 2 Force Indias actually trying to overtake one another. Tom 97 HD is out there in the Toro Rosso along with Jem Bulabasi. Let's see if Jem, who led the race pretty early on, actually soon after the start of last week's race, let's see if he has a better run of luck. I think it was more strategy that led him down from what I can remember. Then I have a pretty bad memory, as we all know. Enzo is in the second Williams, and he is one of the many that is on track at the moment. Race winner Wycom's in the McLaren. He is coming through, I think that's 5, 6 and 7 he's coming through at the minute.
Yeah, the twisty section, it opens up Sector 2. And yeah, Jembo Laquasti, I believe, got stuck in traffic. I'm actually having a look at him now, and he just had a light contact with the Toro Rosso there. I'm not sure what happened with that, but he is on his outlap, as are all the drivers. Again, just a 12-minute qualifying session. We're already 2.5 minutes into that session, so these guys are going to need to get out there and get some laps in ASAP if they want to try and put in the fastest time. That's that Toro Rosso that I was mentioning earlier.
I just saw someone facing into the middle of the circuit as opposed to around it, which is not the ideal way of doing things. And
so I'm actually going to ride on board with Jem. So we'll get our kind of like first lap of the Bahrain International Circuit, heading down the very long straight into turn 1 again, a very popular overtaking location. Oh, a bit of a lockup. The back end stepping out ever so slightly for Jem as well. Navigates turn 2 fairly well, gets on the power nice and early, and carries lots of speed onto the straight, heading into turn 4. Going to be on the brakes somewhere in between the 150 meter boards, or the 50 and 100 meter boards, I should say. Navigates turn 4 just fine. Now 5, 6, and 7. And again, it looks like the back end just trying to step out ever so slightly and then down the hill into the turn 8 hairpin, and misses his apex ever so slightly, but not a big deal. And here comes those infamous corners, the double left-handers of 9 and 10. He does get on the brakes nice and early, just a little bit off of the apex. The DRS open now for what is a pretty short DRS straight. Certainly this will allow them to keep up with the car ahead of them, but as you can see here, 5th gear corner, 100-mile-an-hour apex speed heading into turn 11 there, and that's really not an overtaking, not the best of overtaking. You're really looking for some low-speed corners, as Wycom's now goes fastest with a 128.4. Jem coming out of turn 13 and rapidly approaching 200 miles an hour before slamming on the brakes just after the 100-meter board to navigate turn 14, and then turn 15, the very slight kink that leads us back onto the start-finish straight. And what is it going to be for Jem Bolakbasi? He crosses the line with a 128.1. Those quickest of all so far.
Now, yesterday we had the Xbox race, and it was a 128 flat that we had as the pole time. We're already just a tenth away from that, with 7.5 minutes to go. Again, we could be looking at a very similar pole time this time to what we had last time, so what we had for the Xbox League as well, which is quite nice. Enzo set an early pole time, 128.2. So again, we're looking at quite a tight top end of the field. Let's have a look if I can. Nope, I can't at the moment. And Jem Bolakbasi actually invalidated his lap apparently, as did Fizzy. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Naughty boys.
Must be some track limits issues there. Good to see that is being reinforced, though. We always like to hear about that. I'm just having a look at the Ferrari of Oslo as he's navigating the high-speed corners of 11 and 12, heading into 13. A difficult corner is turn 13, fairly high speed as well. So he's going to be rounding out his lap pretty quickly here, heading down that straight into turn 14 now. Heavy onto the brakes goes the Ferrari, finds his apex very nicely, gets heavy onto those curbs, though, and then feeds the car over to the right-hand side. It looks like he's going to be heading straight back into the pit, so that was an in-lap potentially, but Oslo into the pits. He'll have an opportunity to complete at least one more lap, 2 more laps, if that Ferrari crew is speedy enough. We've got the Mercedes in the garage, the Red Bulls in the garage, the Ferraris in the garage, the McLarens in the garage. Everybody's fitting a new set of boots.
And unfortunately, Tom 97HD has run out of fuel. He really was cutting that fine. He did do his timed lap, I think. Yeah, he's on lap 2. So, so he would have done his out lap, and he's run out of fuel on his timed lap then. Oops.
Uh-oh.
That's a little bit under fuel, so he's going to come in. That's is that a McLaren? That's one of the McLarens coming to complete the lap. Not 100% sure who that is. That's still on circuit. Let's see. As most people have filed back in. Let's see if I can find someone that is still running at the moment.
I think that might have been Failer. Yeah, that was Failer in the McLaren. That was just starting a lap or just finishing the lap. Unfortunately, we don't know. He's about a second off the leader, though. But it's in 11th position and only a second off. Still got 5 minutes to go in this session, and of course the drivers can complete their laps after the checker flag comes out if they are already on a lap. So they've got just over 5 minutes now until that checker flag comes out and tells them that this is going to be their final attempt. And Failer, not one of the guys in the top 5 last time, so he's certainly going to be one of those looking to improve. And I can only think about the pressure that's going on with Wycoms right now. Everybody's favorite Wycoms. We all love him at AOR. He's one of the editors and a big name in the community, of course, and I imagine the pressure that he's feeling today is going to be immense.
It could well be. I mean, it's often very difficult to continue a momentum, and particularly in a very mixed field as we have with us in this particular 3-race league, where not many, well, I say not many, not everybody in this league has raced against each other before. A number of people have raced against some of the people involved in this league, so they may have an understanding of what to expect or what kind of strengths and weaknesses they may have. But there's a number of names that are not going to be so familiar to people. So, yeah, carrying that forward is very difficult. It could well be very difficult, but yeah, the pressure is definitely there. Like you say, Wycombe's a very popular name within the AOR circles, and looking to continue that momentum, of course. But he's obviously had a good start.
Yeah, it's incredible. We had 3 pretty big name. We had Ollie Pakala, Graham Carroll, Enzo Benito. These are big kind of sim racing names, just across PC sim racing as a whole, not necessarily specifically to AOR. And 2 of those guys were among the fastest in the time trials that happened before the Chinese Grand Prix. I'm actually on board with Graham Carroll right now, who again finished second in the last race. But interestingly enough, only Graham finished on the podium of those kind of sim racing guys. Ollie Pakala finishing in 4th position, just outside of the podium positions, and Jembo Lubasi as well, another kind of sim racer. We didn't see him in the top 3, and unfortunately Enzo Benito didn't even get to take part in the Chinese Grand Prix. So I don't want to commentator curse myself, but we could be in for a heck of a race here, especially with Enzo Benito being here. Absolutely,
yeah. So speaking of Graham, he's just coming to the end of turn 11, and then he had his DRS wide open, so that would indicate to me he's on a time lap. And now winding his way through 12, 13, and 14 with a McLaren right.
He's backed off on this. I don't know if it was a timed lap at first, but he's really backed off now. Yeah. I think he might be leaving a gap to that car up ahead.
To the McLaren,
but yeah, there we go. Yeah, you can see him shifting down into 2nd gear even, just getting a little temperature into those very wide 2017 tires as he makes his way through the final couple of corners now. And why don't you go ahead and ride on board with him? I'll stay on board with him as well, and we can have a look at this lap.
So then heading down at full crank, DRS wide open, heading down to turn 1. Very heavy braking zone, very optimal place to do your overtaking. Slight lockup on the inside tyre there. Now through 2. Almost non-existent 3 now. Absolutely throttle nailed to the floor. Heading up to 4. Another prime opportunity, overtaking words failing me. Not good for a commentator. So he's gone through 4 then. So we have the S's of 5, 6, now 7. Head over to the left for 8. Heavy braking zone, but not much of a straight leading up to 8. Now, switch over to 9. Here come the dreaded double left-handers of 9 and 10. It's so easy to lock up, so easy to throw it wide. I actually drove a few laps here in preparation for this particular race, and I threw it off the road there quite a few times. And fastest lap 28.6. That's just come up by Johnny John. Interesting.
Wow.
And that was I think it was one of the Red Bulls that got out of the way. I didn't see who that was then. So. And that's turn 14 then. Again, a little bit of a lockup on that right tyre. Didn't seem to do too bad. 28.4 then. Michael has just set the fastest lap. They're now heading down to 15. Into that slight braking zone, down to 4th gear now. Just heading out wide, but not too wide. And there's as much road as he could possibly risk to use. DRS open, and that is 1:27.9 for Graham Carroll. That, by a 10th, has just by that slight margin beaten what the X was able to do, but so close between the platforms yet again.
Yeah, incredible competition we're seeing, not just between the drivers that are on circuit with each other, but as you mentioned, the drivers on the different platforms as well. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the semifinals in London, which is coming up in really not that long from now, shockingly enough. But I'm glad we were able to go on board with Graham Carroll as he sets that fastest lap of the session. Checker flag is about to come out in just a few seconds now. Drivers will be able to complete their laps, but of course Graham Carroll not on a hot lap right now. I would assume I would presume he wants to protect those tires, since those are very likely to be the ones that he's going to be starting on. It would be really shocking if he were to be pushed outside the top 10 at this point.
1:27.7. Enzo has just set the pole time. Holy moly, that's a lap and a half.
Yep. Or actually, like 0.9 of a lap, really, is what that is, because it's so darn quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to be able to see the qualifying times, but those will be coming up very shortly here as the session comes to a close. Again, checkered flag is out. Everybody's going to finish their hot laps right now and then head back into the garages. Then we will have the full qualifying results for you guys that are watching at home. And we do appreciate you joining us for this second round of 3 races for the Bahrain Grand Prix as Wycombs crosses the finish line. He's going to be starting from 6th position, 3rd row of the grid for the McLaren driver. So not the best position, but really not that bad as well, especially if he's going to be going for some sort of one-stop strategy while others are going for the 2-stop. I was watching for a good bit of the Xbox stream. Now, obviously, these streams are much earlier in the day for me, being in Texas. So that was at 2 p.m. local time, and I was working, but I was being a naughty employee and keeping my eye on the race whenever possible. And I did see everybody's favorite non-AOR champion, TRL Limitless, as his tire went pop on the final lap, losing him a 4th place position. He was pushing very hard. He went for the one-stop strategy, and unfortunately, it did not work out for him in the end. Importantly, though, last time out, I believe it was all one-stoppers on the podium. If memory's correct, I do believe Graham stopped just the one time. Certainly, Wycombs only stopped the one time, and I believe Cam in the Williams as well.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, actually, if I recall, when I double-checked that at the end of the race, the game actually told me that Graham hadn't stopped at all. So yes, that's right. I believe it was the podium 3 that came through on that one. We're just waiting for Graham to retire from the session, and that will officially bring qualifying to a close, so we can then summarise the final qualifying positions for you. Or 40 seconds, and it'll be done for him.
And I will take a quick picture of it, because I know the information only comes up on screen for a brief moment. So I will try to take a picture of it and then go over the full
run through it,
qualifying, or at least the first top 10. We want to make sure we're covering, of course. But it looks like slight delay to the end of the session, but it's happening now. I can hear a car.
Yeah, I mean, Graham's the only one that hasn't retired, so I mean, he will be retired forcefully in 10 seconds anyway. We had a few. I mean, track limits is on strict for this. So that's how we saw some times being invalidated. Kalon managed to get a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Anyway, qualifying positions. Away you go.
Yep, so we do have Enzo Benito taking pole position for this race. Graham Carroll in 2nd position. Jem Bullock-Bossi in 3rd. So some of the top sim racers there. Then with Wycombs in 4th position, actually. I had incorrectly said that he was in 6th position. He's actually on the 2nd row of the grid in his McLaren. Then comes the Red Bull of Raiko Gordon. Then comes Cam, who finished on the podium last time out in China. He'll start from 6th position. Then Ali Pakala in 7th position for the Scuderia Ferrari. Then comes his teammate, Michael X99, although nobody's really teammates in these. Then comes Ramdrop in the Force India, Johnny John in the Renault, rounding out the top 10, AOR Fizzy, Klawitsky, and Marco FD. That is the top 13 drivers in today's race. So let's take a look, if we can, very quickly here at the standings. I'll let the intro play, but we do want to take a quick look at the standings just to remind everybody what it's looking like as far as the points are concerned. So let me bring that up on the screen now. I am doing double duty. I am the director and also commentator. So here we go. These are the standings. So we do have Wycombs in 1st with 25 points, Graham Carroll in 2nd position with 18 points, and Cam in 3rd position with 15. Then Ali Pakala, then Ram, and then Michael X99 in 6th position. Actually, not somebody we talked about a whole lot in the race last time, but he's got 8 points to his name after just one race. Then Max AFC 46 in 7th position, Tom 97 HD in 8th, Kalon in 9th, and Failer in 10th position with just a single point. Then down at the bottom, we've got Enzo Benito, who hasn't scored yet, Jem Bullock-Bossi, Raiko Gordon, N1K Mito, Klawitsky, RBK, AOR Fizzy, Johnny John, Westy, and Marco FD. And those are your standings for the 20 drivers in this race. And we're just at a black screen at the moment. There we go.
All right, then.
All right. Yeah, we've got the lights coming on now. On board with Enzo in the Williams. Again, we did not see him in the last race, and they are away. That is a very quick start. I was not prepared for that whatsoever, as they're going to be heading down into turn 1. The Williams does lead with Jem Bolakbasi on the Haas trying to go around the outside at turn 1. It looks like he's going to get the inside line for turn 2, and he's done it.
Wow!
Jem Bolakbasi takes the lead of the race with an incredible start. He defends the inside line on the run down towards turn 4. I see some carbon fiber, a Mercedes off in the background there at the exit of turn 2. The Haas leads coming out of turn 4.
It's Marco.
Yeah, and Enzo Benito right behind him with a bit of a gap already starting to form between second and third position as they head through the S's down the hill into the hairpin of turn 8, and that Mercedes already starting to close back up. The Ferrari already up into 4th position as well, and that was a heck of a start by Jem Bolakbasi. He's done it again, but let's see, Chris, if he can hold on to it this time.
Absolutely. It was Marco FD that was at the back that was having difficulty on his start. Wycombs has lost a couple of positions in the McLaren. He's now down in 6th with pressure from Cam, I think it is. Oh no, sorry, that's Cam. That's behind him. Riker Gordon is right with that McLaren. So then, Graham has actually broken away from that chasing pack, so he could try and set off after Enzo and Jem Bolakbasi. Now Enzo's going to have an opportunity to get in some slipstream of that Haas and try and regain that race lead. But is he going to run out of space? And we've lost Klavutsky. Oh, goodness me, again. That was even quicker than last week. We lost RBK. He was the only race retiree we had. Jem Bolakbasi already feeling the need to defend that inside line. And Jem Bolakbasi, of course, setting the fastest lap. And this is going to be a slipstream then from Enzo. He's going to dive onto the inside. There he goes. Can he get it done? Oh, he's going to break very, very deep. And he does! Enzo regains the lead then from the Haas. I think we are going to have a hell of a battle between these two at this rate. And Graham is not far behind. He's closing in on these lead two. It's going to be a three-way battle before long.
Yep, Ali Pakula as well, not far off. No DRS just yet. That was completely slipstream and very late braking from Enzo Benito in the Williams to retake the lead of this race after grabbing that pole position and then losing it to Jem Bolakbasi, who has clearly been practicing his race starts because he has been absolutely lightning quick off the line for both of these races. Bahrain Grand Prix proving to be no different from the Chinese Grand Prix. Of course, we did see him get a little bit caught up in traffic at the last time out in the Chinese Grand Prix, so we'll have to keep an eye on him, and we'll have to watch these strategies and see what's going on. It looks like a bit of a procession at the back. No overtakes into turn 10. Into that very difficult double left-hander section. I'm still focused on the leaders because it is just so close between the three of them. But again, Enzo Benito leads. Jem Bolakbasi.
Whoa!
Right up. Oh, contact. Definitely contact between the two of them. He sneaks up the inside at turn 13, moves ahead, and it looks like Graham Carroll. Oh, and Enzo Benito is gone from the session. I don't know if that was a connection problem.
Yeah, that's a connection problem. He hasn't retired from the session. He's just simply left. So it could be a connection problem he's had. His car is ghosted and still continuing, so he's able to return. But his position, as far as that lead battle is concerned, is immediately taken by Graham Carroll. Whoa, we've got some overtaking going on behind them as well, as Enzo hangs on to the lead in the Haas into the first corner. Wycombs has claimed that 5th position. He's side by side with Cam in the Williams. He's going to hang on to that 5th place. Yes, he does. And he's, of course, going to claim that 4th from the ghosted Williams. Still side by side with Cam. Whoa. That is very, very close and making me wince, and probably Wycombs as well. And he's now... he's goodness me.
Him wide.
That
was fair, though, I think.
Firm but fair, yep. And what a gaggle of cars that is.
Yep, that was Cam's corner, I think. So that was, just as you said, firm but fair. Wycombs has to concede the position to the Williams. He tries to switch back, though, coming out of that turn 8 hairpin, but he's going to have to go the long way around the outside of turns 9 and 10. That's surely not going to work for him as Cam tries to defend that 4th place position just outside the podium. And you can see a big gap starting to form. And actually, I need to move over to Ali Pakula, as it looks like he's going to make a move on Jem Bolakbasi, who's lost the lead of this race. And Graham Carroll, there's so much going on. It's hard to keep up with what's going on. The Ferrari trying to claw back and see if he can get some space on that Haas, but no, Jem Bolakbasi looks like he's got the better run through turn 12 and builds a little bit of a gap. Speaking of gaps, Graham Carroll, as we come to the end of lap 3, has a healthy-sized gap, as this battling between the Haas and the Ferrari has allowed that Mercedes to really pull away. I don't think Jem is going to get the benefit of DRS here, Chris.
It's highly likely that he won't, and indeed he doesn't. He's got no DRS on that start-finish straight. The Ferrari will, and you can see how Oslo's able to gain on that helpless Haas now. That overtake is done, and look again at the overtaking going on behind them. as I'm going to switch to that. That's Cam in 4th position, hanging on, just keeping the McLaren of Wycombs at bay. And
Wycombs is off. Wycombs spins at the exit of turn 1. He's down to 13th, 14th, 15th position. Oh, he's doing a bit of rally driving now. He's got to go through all the grass and the gravel, and he rejoins the track. And your championship leader, Wycombs, in the McLaren, down into 15th position. It's been a nightmare start for the Bahrain Grand Prix for the McLaren driver and championship leader at the moment. He is definitely, even if he wasn't planning on it, he is definitely going to need to convert to a one-stop at this point.
Commentator cursed him just at the wrong moment. Jembo Labasi's actually lost second to Oslo. We did see that at the end of lap 1, just before we were then switched to watching Wycombs turn into a bit of a rallycross driver. He is still trying to... he's losing time on that Ferrari, so I wonder if Jem's picked up a bit of damage somewhere, because he seems to be losing a lot of pace on that Ferrari ahead of him, interestingly. It doesn't... Visually, I can't see anything wrong with the car, but it's often very difficult from the spectator's standpoint to see if there's a end plate missing or some such. So
I'm right on the front wing, and I'm not seeing any damage with Jem as we head into the final couple of corners to start lap 5. And yeah, he's definitely lost some ground on Ollie Pakula up ahead as Graham Carroll sets the fastest lap with a 132.1. It's an incredibly quick lap. DRS active for Jem Bolakbasi, but he's really not gaining on that Ferrari up ahead, as Ollie Pakula now, I think, is focused less on the Haas behind and more so on the Mercedes ahead. But Graham Carroll, lightning quick. I swear, he just keeps pulling away further and further every corner.
Cam then in 4th position in the Williams. He's got Ramdrop for company in the Force India. Ramdrop's having a pretty decent race at the moment. Raiko Gordon, our server host for this evening in the Red Bull. In 6th position has RBK. In the other Haas, in 7th, Michael X99 in 8th. We have Johnny John in the Renault in 9. Bit of a gap then to Fizzy in the next Pink Panther. Fizzy is on the medium, so
he sure is.
Yeah, everybody did their qualifying on the super soft, so whether he swapped his tyres before the start, it's the first time I've actually looked at Fizzy since the start, not 100% certain. Max AOC is in 11th, then in the Sauber on the soft tyres. Kalon is in 12th, and the Renault has got Nick Mido and Failer for company in 14th. Wycombs then hasn't been able to gain much ground, still in 15th position. Marco, after his early problems, is in 16th with Tom 97, who had a big spin on the first lap in the Toro Rosso, and that is all. Enzo in his ghosted car continues to crawl. He is now at the back, and there's Westy, who actually had a drive-through penalty. Whether he jumped the start, I'm not entirely sure. But he actually had a drive-through penalty at the beginning, and that is your 19 runners at the moment.
Yeah, and Graham Carroll continues to extend that lead. I mean, visually, just from these off-board camera shots, it really looks like he's pulling away. So it looks like we are officially emulating the real-life drivers as we have the Mercedes leading the Ferrari. And then we get the lovely helicopter shots.
I got it as well.
To the Codemasters employees that are watching, more of this, please. This should be a dedicated camera angle, please. I would like to be able to switch to helicopter mode whenever, because this is truly fantastic stuff as we watch the Mercedes navigate through that twisty section of 5, 6, and 7 into the hairpin, up the hill, and then back down the hill through 9 and 10 before coming back onto the DRS straight. Of course, no DRS for him, though, as he is leading the race.
Oslo has got his pit light on, so might we be seeing the Ferrari coming? It's very early, though. Even for a one-stop, that's particularly early. It needs to be really heading towards lap 10 before the one-stoppers come in. So is Oslo going for a two-stop strategy here? It is certainly possible. Jembo Labasi is in 3rd, but losing ground. Cam in the next Williams is really closing in on the Haas. He's still got Ramdrop for company. Not much separating those three now. So a battle forming for the last podium position, but it's not looking good for Jem Bullock-Massey at the moment.
Yeah, Jem is going to have his work cut out for him for sure, because of course these guys are going to be picking up DRS twice a lap off of him, or at least one of them is going to be picking up DRS off him. The other one's going to be picking up DRS off of the Williams that's ahead of him. So Ramdrop does indeed pick up the DRS as this Cam up ahead of him. It does appear that the Force India is closing in on that Williams, much more so than the Williams is closing in on the Ferrari. In fact, they're going to be just about a car length apart as they slam onto the brakes into turn 1, less than a car length between them as they navigate through that hairpin. And then there is a bit of a gap forming between 5th and 6th, but there is quite the battle starting to happen for 6th position. RBK in the Haas currently leads that, with Raiko Gordon just behind Michael X99 and Johnny John as well. All of those guys just getting through turn 4 now, so really not far off the leaders. I mean, if anybody makes any sort of mistake in the top 3, certainly they are going to fall victim to these kind of mid-runners at the moment. So they really need to be on top of their game, which Graham Carroll absolutely is at the moment, no doubt about that. He is driving like a man on a mission. I mean, he was winning that last race in China for pretty much the entirety of the race, 98% of that race, I want to say, aside from when Jem Bolakbasi was leading right at the beginning there, but and then it was snatched away right at the end, and I'm sure that's going to be lingering around in the back of his mind, and he's going to be thinking about that, keeping an eye on his tires. He really needs to make sure that those tires don't fall away, which we did see evidence of in the Xbox League in the race yesterday. So I imagine a lot of these drivers will have seen that race, and they will have seen what happened to TRL Limitless, and that's going to be rattling around in their minds as well.
No one's pitting yet, despite the fact that we did see that pit indicator as green on the overlay. So Graham has continued, Oslo has continued, and interestingly, Oslo's pit indicator has gone off. So we have an overtake. Cam on Jem Bolakbasi's lost 2 positions into turn 1. Cam and Ram. Cam and Ram are absolutely side by side. Looks like the Pink Panther is going to nail the Williams. Oh no! Well defended by Cam then. Although Cam has got a yellow fuel line, he's burning a lot of fuel at the moment. He's still having to defend off that Force India, and still Cam now hands on to that 3rd position. Very, very nice. And that's a 4-way battle then, as the second Haas of RBK now joins that battle. Jem Bolakbasi must have a problem of some description, or he's got a terrible setup or something. You would think someone as experienced as Jem Bolakbasi wouldn't make a setup error, so it would indicate that there is some kind of damage on that car.
Yeah, he is clearly struggling as he loses out to the man that finished in the third position he would have wanted to take in China, as again Cam back up in the 3rd incredibly. Certainly he was not. Oh gosh!
Oh my goodness!
RBK around the outside of the long sweeping right-hander at turn 12, and he's done it.
That's brave.
Unbelievable stuff. Jem Bolakbasi gets knocked down to 6th position behind his teammate. RBK makes the move around the outside of that very high-speed corner, and it looks like ram drop now all over the back of Cam as well. So it's going to be Force India versus Williams heading into turn 1. I have no idea what's going on at the front of the field. I presume that Graham Carroll has continued to break away, but we want to focus on this battle between Ram and Cam. It's Cam versus Ram, and it looks like the Force India is going to be forced to go around the outside of that turn 1 hairpin. If he can stick it, he'll get the inside line for turn 2. It just about nudges the Williams. There's just enough room between the two of them, but it does look like Cam is going to come out on top on that one. But here comes RBK. He's going to try and squeeze in between the two of them. Oh, that could have ended in tears. Incredible stuff. Cam still defending the inside line through turn 4. Ram drop, though, going to lose that position to RBK potentially. Right-hander coming up. RBK with the inside line takes that 4th place position off of Ram drop, and Ram suddenly finds himself back in 5th.
Hamilton Rosberg, anyone? So Jem Bolakbasi is still in that mixture, I think. Yeah, Jem Bolakbasi is actually back up with the Force India of Ramdrop, but they have got Michael X99 in the Ferrari for company, so a big 5-way battle then, as the Haas of RBK now sizes up the Williams of Cam then for that 3rd position. Then jumping back to the front, Graham is just gone. He has left Oslo for dead. 4.5 seconds separates the top 2. Graham is just in a different league at the moment. Absolutely stunning, and we know how quick these drivers are. And there we go.
Ram.
Yeah, the RBK's got. Yeah, well, RBK's taken that 3rd position whilst I was double checking on our leaders. Cam now in 4th. Whoa, big oversteer moment as we. Oh, I thought Cam was going to come in then, but we do have some people coming into the pits. But he's side by side then with that Force India. It's going to be another. Yeah, and they're put off a little bit, possibly by the ghosted Enzo. Oh, bit of an impact there between the Williams and the Force India. But still continuing nonetheless. Ramdrop continuing to pile that pressure on. And actually, they're up to 2nd now, so our leaders have come in.
Oh yeah, you're right. Good. And Jem Bolakbasi as well peeled into the pits at the end of lap 9 as well. So unless he's planning to do a 20-lap stint on a set of mediums, I presume he could be doing a 2-stop, which I suppose is possible. I mean, he did a little over 10 laps when you factor in that those were the tires that he qualified on a set of super softs. So if he's looking to do a little bit of tire management and possibly stay out of traffic, then he could potentially go for a 1-stop, but that certainly feels like a lot of laps to do of the Bahrain International Circuit. But yeah, so we're focused now on this battle for, this is now the battle for the lead, essentially, as RBK has built a bit of a gap, though, to the Williams of Cam. I think Cam now more worried about the Force India behind him rather than catching up to the Haas up ahead. But let's see if any of these guys respond to the leaders.
Whoa, we've got Cam off. Yeah, Cam went off at this turn 14. He's relinquished that second position to the Force India then as they head down towards the end of the lap. It's going to be interesting to see. Now, Graham actually came out on soft tyres. Now, I find that a little bit surprising as second, third and fourth all peel into the pits at exactly the same time. RBK, interestingly, he's going for a very long stint on those super softs. Let's hope he doesn't end up with a puncture. Fizzy now, Fizzy and Kalon, they opted to start on the mediums, and they are now second and third respectively. Failer is up to fourth now in the McLaren on mediums as well. So this is where the medium starters are going to start to come good. Here is Graham Carroll then. He's got up to back up to fifth position on the soft tyres. Oslo is right with him. He's still on the super soft tyres, but he will surely be due in very soon. His pit light is on, so he will be wanting to come into the pits. Oh my goodness me, big gaggle of cars then as people are coming out of the pits and rejoining alongside the medium starters. That's Riker Gordon in seventh. He's just pitted onto the medium tyres, as has Ramdrop in the Force India. He is in eighth with Tom 97 HD. Oh, he's on soft tyres. I don't think he's actually pit yet. His pit light is green, so he should be coming in fairly soon. Johnny John, I've got a lovely Halicam here in the Renault in 10th position. He's on soft tyres. And there is Michael X99 in the Ferrari. He's on mediums in 11th. Cam, oh dear, terrible stuff for Cam. He's in 12th now with Jem Bulabasi right with him in 13th. They're on mediums as well. So they are going to be going to the end of the race with what they've got. But again, Cam's got to be careful. His fuel light's on yellow, so he can't burn too much trying to defend from the Haas. Wycom's in 14th then. Has he been through the pits? I assume he has. Yes, he has. He's on medium tyres now. So we'll see how Wycom's is able to recover from his early race difficulties. As you said, Adi Justin, he will be on a one-stop now if he wasn't before. Max is on the super softs, interestingly.
Oh, and that's a spin for Michael at turn 13. That's going to lose him a couple of positions to Cam and Jem Bulabasi at least.
He's down into 14th. He slots in between Wycoms and Max AFC. So yeah, those tyres not biting in as much as he would like so soon. Who else have we got? Nick Mido still running. He's on super softs in the Red Bull in 16th. He will need to come in pretty soon. Westy in the Toro Rosso, also on super soft. Myers Marco on the medium tyres. And that is everybody so far.
And Jem Bulabasi just made a move on Cam for P11, so Bulabasi back up ahead of the Williams, and with a decent amount of clear air up ahead. He's got Time 97 HD just ahead of him in the Toro Rosso, who I do believe is still on his first stint, so he could be due to come into the pits very soon here. He is most certainly on a one-stop. I would presume anybody that didn't start in on the Super Softs is certainly a very likely candidate for the one-stop strategy. So who is leading
Fizzy
at the moment? It's Fizzy. Yeah, Fizzy currently leads in the Force India, although he's got Kalon all over the back of him, looking like he wants to change that running order as quickly as possible here on lap 12, as we're rapidly approaching halfway distance of this Bahrain Grand Prix, heading into the braking zone of the final couple of corners to finish lap 12 now. And I sincerely doubt we'll see Fizzy heading into the pits just yet, and he indeed does stay out. Failer 3 in the McLaren as well, still out on his first set of medium tires. And then in fourth position, it is Graham Carroll, who sets the fastest lap of the race once again with a 132.0.
I can't imagine, though, the soft tyres are going to make it to the end of the race, so it is highly likely that Graham is going to come in again. So he is going to have to absolutely fly, but he has already proven that he can absolutely fly. He was well away from Oslo before the first round of pit stops. And Fizzy and Kalon crossed swords quite a few times in the last season of F1 2016, season 13 for AOR, so they are used to racing against one another, sharing the same piece of track. Fader was also in that same split, but he is struggling with that McLaren a bit. I've seen that tail really squirming around quite a lot. He's not able to keep that car under as much control as he would like. Graham Carroll is probably enjoying the fact that Failure is struggling, as that's going to help him close in. He's going to be within DRS range, if not now, then pretty soon on that McLaren. Oslo then is not far behind on the super softs. Interesting, he's gone for super softs after the stop though.
I'm actually showing I'm showing Olli Pakala on mediums, but
that's more likely.
Yeah, and I'm also showing Graham Carroll on mediums as well too. So I'm
that
not
also
sure
sounds
who's
more
right
likely
on that one. But yes,
I'll see what
I would agree.
Yeah, I'll see what my race director says. And actually, my race director says everybody up to 17th is on mediums, which I would fully expect.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds right. Certainly, with this type of circuit, I mean, it can be really punishing on the tires, especially when you have corners like turn 11. That's going to be really punishing the tires on the right-hand side as you're going through at over 100 miles an hour. Turn 12 even faster, and then turn 13, braking and turning at the same time, turn 10. Lots of opportunities for lockups, plenty of slow speed corners as well. Coming out of turns 1 and 2, you're moving very slow, turn 8 as well. So that's plenty of opportunity to light up those rears as well. So this circuit can be very punishing on the fronts and the rears, just all around. So no surprise that the medium compounds are really the ones of choice. I am on board with Olli Pakala at the moment as he heads into the turn 8 hairpin, and he can just about see Graham Carroll. So I think there may be a bit of a carrot at the end of the stick effect going on for Olli Pakala, as he can see his rival just up the road and actually just starting to get into that traffic. So as you mentioned before, Chris, Failure in the McLaren just up ahead. He is going to be considerably slower as he is on extremely worn mediums at this point. But if he gives any sort of headache to Graham Carroll, that could play a big role in Olli Pakala's quest to try and catch up to this Mercedes.
Now, from what I understand, the wings, the ideal kind of wing setting for this race is around about 4.445, that kind of mid-range area. Of course, there's two very big high-speed straights, well, there's three if you include the one between 14 and 15. So they don't want to pile on, you don't want to have Monaco level wings because you are going to be mugged like mad. But there are a number of corners where that downforce really can help, but so that balancing act is something that the drivers need to bear in mind. But of course, if you get that wrong, the car starts to jump. Jem Bullock-Bussey, wow, he suddenly found some pace somewhere. 132 dead. So might we see Jem start to claw his way back in? He wasn't happy with the first set of tyres. Maybe he burnt them out quite a lot in qualifying. We could well see the Haas start to claw his way back into this race.
Yeah, he's behind the Force India of, I believe, Ramdrop, that is. Yes, it is Ramdrop in the Force India up ahead of him. He is 20 seconds off the leader, though, and I want to say Graham Carroll's about 5 seconds off the leader.
You'd be spot on.
Correct.
Yes, he is 5.0, and he is all over the back of Failure, nearly running into the back of the McLaren, but Failure just cannot get that traction. His car is sliding everywhere like he's on ice. Easy pass heading down into turn 11, and that is third position then for Graham Carroll. Pretty simple stuff for him. I'm just going to double check on where Fizzy and Kalon are. They are continuing on their merry way, but of course they now have got Graham Carroll bearing in on them, so they're going to have to start thinking about another 5 or so laps probably before we see the medium runners take their one and only stop, unless of course they have damage or a puncture or something. But yeah, the Force India and the Renault are still locked in battle for those first 2 spots at the moment.
Yep, 15 laps completed, 14 laps remain in this AOR F1 eSports race. Round 2 of round 3, of course. I'm on board with Jem Bullock-Bussey. He's going to pick up the DRS just about within DRS range of that Force India up ahead, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to be enough to put him alongside Ramdrop into turn 1. Laid onto the brakes, a bit of a lockup for the Haas into turn 1. It's all about the traction now coming out of that corner. Take a bit of the curb on the left-hand side, let it run out wide, but not too wide, and then onto the long straight heading down towards turn 4. He'll pick up a bit of a slipstream on the Force India, laid onto the brakes right as the curbing starts on the left-hand side, and again closing in on Ramdrop ever so slightly. He's only in a position that would give him 2 points right now, and I know Jem Bullock-Bussey, and that is not going to be enough for him. Certainly anything but the win will be a disappointment for the Turkish sim racer as he comes out of turn 8 now, definitely closing in on that Force India. Let's see if he can mount an attack into turn 11 as he gets the car turned in for turn 10. just about getting it done, but it does look like the exit of the Force India up ahead of him is going to prevent any sort of overtake on this particular occasion.
Last week's race winner, Wycombe's day, goes from bad to worse. I was actually watching him whilst you were beginning to explain that sequence, and he was side by side with Johnny John and the Renault, but Wycombe's unfortunately had a big lag incident and has ended up in 14th position as a result when I last looked. So that is Ramdrop's day, going pretty much down the pan.
And Klowitzki, already a spectator in the chat. Shout out to Klowitzki. I do apologize. He said his full race highlights are already up and uploaded, so big apologies to Klowitzki. I know him from past AOR stuff as well. Graham Carroll's actually not making the ground that I would have expected on the leaders, especially considering how close Fizzy and Kalon are. They must not be doing very much side-by-side battling, because what was a 5-second gap a couple of laps ago, still a 3.5-second gap to Graham Carroll, who is sort of your basically your leader, essentially, as he has already come into the pits and is only a handful of seconds or so behind these guys who have not come into the pits yet. But he's definitely not making up the ground that I would have expected him to make up. So it is possible that Graham is conserving his tires. It seems he may have learned his lesson from China.
Swap round of Ramdrop and Jembo Lupasi then, as they were coming through the twisty section into turn 8, and the Haas does finally outbrake the Pink Panther, and those two swap round. Of course, now that gives DRS straight to Ramdrop. We'll see if he's able to fight back. But yeah, I do agree that I think Graham is not. He knows the two ahead of him have to pit again, so he's not going to push too hard to burn out his tires. Although saying that, he's suddenly gained. Well, visually, it looks like he's gained a lot of time. He's now two seconds, 2 seconds dead between himself and the leader of Fizzy. But he knows that they've got to come in again, so he's not going to want to do anything silly and jeopardise a very strong finish. He finished second last time around. He is going to want that top spot this time around to pretty much secure his trip to London.
Yeah, I mean, with Wycombe's outside of the points, or at least last I checked, he was outside of the points. I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up with Wycombe's adventures.
He's 13th now.
13th, yep. So still outside the points. And this, of course, this 2 second-place finishes would put him on 36 points, which would be 11 points ahead of the 25 from Wycombe. So, yeah, as you mentioned, though, Graham Carroll definitely closing up on those leaders. I'm not sure how hard he's going to push. I mean, you know, this is really one of those nightmares for drivers, is when you're trying to get by two people that are in the middle of battling for position. And we haven't really seen, as I mentioned before, a lot of side-by-side action between Kalon and Fizzy for the effective lead of this race. But certainly Graham Carroll is going to have his work cut out for him for sure. Ali Pakula really doesn't seem to be closing in on the Mercedes. Yeah, if anything, he's actually dropped a bit back off the Mercedes. It's a 5.4 second gap to the leader for Ali Pakula. Graham Carroll 1.5. So yeah, it is about a 4-second gap between Ali and Graham, which is about the gap that we saw as Fizzy is moving over to the right-hand side. It looks like he's going to dive into the pits. Kalon as well, and that could not have been timed any better for Graham Carroll.
He got DRS as well, so he's not only got nothing ahead of him to slow him down, but he's had DRS as well to help him through. So Oslo then up to second position as well. 4 seconds dead between the two. It could be that Oslo was hoping that Fizzy and Kalon would slow Graham down. That gamble hasn't paid off for him. But we'll see if Oslo's able to answer. I mean, Graham's pace has been phenomenal. It could be that Oslo's simply got no answer for the pace of the Mercedes at the moment. But we will see as these last 11 laps unfold. RBK now up to third position in the Haas, with Raiko Gordon having a good day in fourth on the Red Bull. Ram has still got Jembo Labassi for company, but Ram's got to be careful.
He took that position, actually.
He
saw Jem overtake him. So yeah, we missed an overtake from Ramdrop, and in fact, Jem just tried to put the moves on him at turn 1, which I believe you missed, but it did not work out for him. So Ram holds on to that P5.
He is indeed in P5. That will add already to his P5 from last week as well, if he's able to hold it there. But he's got to be careful. His fuel light keeps coming on and off yellow, so he is running a bit close to the limit. Jem doesn't seem to have that particular problem at the moment. He, of course, is going to have the DRS aided in that house. He is in 6th then. Cam in 7th in the Williams. He's going to want better than that, but again, he's got to watch his fuel level as well. Johnny John in 8th position in the Renault. He did not have a good race last time out, finishing outside the points, so hoping to try and hang on to that position. Michael X99 in the Ferrari. Whoa, we've got Max and Fizzy then. After Fizzy's pit stop, Fizzy is right with, as I've actually got Christmas tree lights tyres going on the Sauber. They're switching between white and red. But
they're showing medium for me, but Fizzy, I believe, is on the super soft tires, and he is going to be lightning quick, of course, although the Sauber with a heck of an exit out of that final corner. Fizzy's really not able to close up at all, but of course the Sauber picking up the DRS off the Ferrari of Michael X99 as well. Michael picking up the DRS off of the Renault in front of him, so this is not the position that Fizzy would have wanted to come out of the pits into.
Well, no, true, but he's of course got those very soft, very fresh tyres, so he could do something about it, and that clump of cars there is fairly well compact, so Fizzy could gain, if he gets a decent run on these cars, he could gain quite a few positions very quickly as he's getting very, very close to the back of and he's through at turn 8. I did say that it would take a mistake from 7 to 8 for someone to make an overtake there, and that's exactly what Fizzy has capitalised on. So that is the point position for Fizzy, with Michael X99 and Johnny John not far ahead of him with another 10 laps to do something about it. So Fizzy could come away with a handful of points today.
And then Cam in the Williams, I believe, is right up the road in 7th position.
He is.
Unless that's another. That is Cam. Okay. Yeah. So the Williams as well, not far up the road. That's right. The other Williams is Enzo Benito, and we all know what happened to him, unfortunately. So, but yeah, Fizzy is definitely sizing up the Ferrari here on the rundown towards the final couple of corners. I believe he's probably going to hold off and try to wait to make the overtake with the assistance of the DRS. He gets a fantastic exit. No surprise with those fresh super soft tires coming out of the final corner. He's going to pick up an almighty slipstream here. DRS is open on the Ferrari and on the Force India as Fizzy now sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:31.
Wow.
So no surprise that the super softs are very quick. He's laid onto the brakes. He's got the inside line for turn number 1. The Ferrari hangs it around the outside, though, and will take the racing line for turn 2. But it does look like Fizzy is going to get the better exit out of the corner. He could pressure him with the inside line into turn number 4 here. They're going to be braking pretty late here onto the brakes now. Hard for the Force India. He's got that inside line. If he can hold this line, he'll get the inside for turn 5, or turn 6, rather, I should say. And he does get that inside line, but the Ferrari tries to stick with him around the outside. But no, it looks like Fizzy is going to get the job done with the inside line at that turn 8 hairpin, and that is fantastic racing. It looks like
this Johnny John in the Renault.
Yeah, Johnny John trying to follow him through. He's also on a set of super soft tires as we get another fantastic helicopter shot. Love those cameras as we're on board with Fizzy looking backwards at that Ferrari that he just overtake. Will we see an overtake attempt from Johnny John in the Renault? He's got the DRS, but of course so does the Ferrari, and he's not able to make the move into turn 11. But this is some incredible battling for P9.
Yeah, but interestingly, from 8th up to 3rd, they're kind of equidistant. There's not a lot of gaps in between where Fizzy is and the bottom step of the podium. So Fizzy could well actually come away with a decent haul of points. The top 2 are the top 3 are very heavily spaced out. Graham is just away in the distance. 4.2 seconds separates the top 2, with another 8 seconds down to RBK in 3rd. So the top 2, mistakes or punctures aside, are pretty much set. RBK, like I say, all the way down to Fizzy and beyond, there's not a great deal of distance between them.
No, as you mentioned, 3rd down to outside the points. It is very close as we're now on lap 22, so just a little bit less than 8 laps remaining already in this Bahrain Grand Prix. This is just flying by, the amount of action that we've been seeing and the incredible racing. What's really stunned me as well is the quality of side-by-side action we've been seeing. At no point have we seen somebody forcing somebody off of the track. Everything has been, hard but fair, really respectful racing, although that was a lot of inside curve at turn 10 for Raiko Gordon, who I happen to be looking at, so that might be a corner cut warning there for the Red Bull potentially as he makes his way into turn 11. But yeah, very close as we switch over to Ramdrop. He's just making his way through turn 11 now. He's got Jem Bullock-Bossi not far behind him. It seems that Jem not able to get ahead of the Force India, and in fact losing time to that very pink Force India up ahead, and then actually a bit of a gap. So yeah, I think the biggest gap really that we can see of those guys is between Jem and Cam. pretty decent sized gap. I don't think Cam is going to be picking up the DRS though. Actually, Johnny John and Fizzy. Johnny John has made the move on Fizzy. I believe that's Johnny John, or yeah, that is.
It is. Yeah.
Come back at him. Incredible stuff here. Fizzy with the DRS, but he's actually already by even before the DRS activation. This moves him up into P8 with 7 laps remaining in this race. He's actually even going to close up on Cam, who was a number of car lengths ahead of the Force India coming out of that final corner. And now Fizzy just a few car lengths behind as they make their way down towards turn 4. So Fizzy with the late race super softs after starting on the medium compound tires is flying through the field. And if he can get his way past Cam pretty quickly here, he'll have a bit of clean air, and then he can actually start focusing on the top 5. I don't know if he's going to be within a shout of the podium positions. Probably not within a shout of the race win, but we'll never know what's going to happen with the tires, of course, in the later stages of this race. We could see some punctures. We could see some people crawling around. But, Chris, why don't you go ahead and talk us through this battle between Fizzy and Cam?
So DRS open and on the Force India. Cam does not have that luxury. It looks like he's going to be moved into turn 11 on the inside for the Force India. It is going to be a pretty straightforward move then for Fizzy, as long as he can make his stick. Cam trying to get the switch back. Now side by side through 12 and 13. That is going to go back to the Force India then as they come through 14. And now that advantage is going to go back to the Force India. It's going to have a bit more traction. The Renaults are all over each other as well, just in the background of that. But Fizzy then should be able to get a decent drive out of 15. He's already beginning to build a gap between himself and Cam. That is 7th position. And between himself and Jembuluk Basi, it is 2 seconds, I believe. So it is certainly possible for Fizzy to close that 2-second gap down in the next 6 laps. And Ram Drop is right ahead of Jembuluk Basi. So another 2 positions at least could well be up for Fizzy's for the taking for Fizzy.
Yep, Kalon makes his way past the other Renault of Johnny John, now up into 9th position, can turn his focus towards Cam, especially because Cam is going to be outside of the DRS range of Fizzy, and Cam actually completely missing his apex for turn 4. That's going to allow the Renault of Kalon to close right up to the back of that Williams as they head down the hill now into the turn 8 hairpin. Fizzy starting to break away from the Williams. I don't think Cam is going to pick up the DRS here. It is a very short DRS zone between turns 10 and 11, so I don't think Kalon is going to have any sort of overtaking opportunities. But of course, we do have a difference in tire compound between the Renault and the Williams as the DRS is open now for Kalon. Heading down towards turn 11, can he get close enough? No, I'm going to say he's too far back on this occasion to make any sort of overtake attempt into turn 11. And in fact, I do believe he was letting off a little bit there. So really not keen on trying to make the overtake into turn 11. No surprise there. Very difficult to do, and you could really punish the tires as well. But he is all over the back of Cam now as they make their way through 13. He's going to pick up a slipstream. We could see some short shifting here to save some fuel potentially. His fuel light's not on. No, he's not hanging around. He's going to go side by side with the Williams. He's got the inside line for turn 14, and that is going to be a pretty easy maneuver for Kalon, now up into P8, and with just 5 laps remaining. Actually, is he on lap 24? Yeah, so 5 laps remaining in this Bahrain Grand Prix. Kalon up into P8, Fizzy up into P7. Still plenty to play for here.
Absolutely. Going back to what you were saying earlier about the penalties, exactly when you called Failer getting a warning for exceeding track limits, you were absolutely spot on. Cam has got himself a 3-second penalty, as does Failer, interestingly, and Nick Mido. As far as I can see, they're the only ones. A stop-go penalty for Riker, which I think he's served by now. Tom HD, as I saw, yeah, he had a stop-go penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place. That was the one we saw very early on. So 3 penalties to serve at the moment. Cam is actually one of them. So,
oh my gosh, Cam is going to lose. I think if they were to finish the way they are now, I think Cam would lose 4 positions as the result of a 3-second time penalty, because we have a train of cars running behind him. And of course, the race engineers will be coming onto the radio to let Johnny John know that the car ahead of him does have a 3-second time penalty. So he knows that P9 is already his. But of course, he's going to be keen to get by that Williams as quickly as he can to try and keep up with the other Renault, as his team has begun to break away on those super softs. And in fact, Fizzy now does appear to be closing up pretty significantly.
He's in DRS range.
Yep, he's going to pick up the DRS on the Haas. That is Jembuluk Basi, who had a fantastic start to the race, and then it's been pretty much downhill from here. At least he is still into the points, but let's go on board with Fizzy, actually, as we get into the braking zone just before the 100-meter board for turn 1. And two Force Indias in the top 7, which is something that we're I would say, pretty used to seeing in the real F1. So it's good to see Force India doing just as well in the virtual world as in the real world. But Ram still trying to hold off Jem Bullock-Bossi, but I fear for both of them because Fizzy is really on a charge. That
absolutely. Now, I don't know which one is going to be taking over the spot from your boy Perez. Oh, as we see Jem Bullock-Bossi go a little bit wide. I believe you're a Perez fan, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yes, massively.
And so I don't know which one is actually taking that particular car, but Fizzy is all over the back of that Haas. And again, we are going to see another potential move into 11, although Jem Bullock-Bossi does have the DRS, of course, off the back of Roundup, so that is going to deny Fizzy a move this time. But it is only a matter of time before Fizzy picks up another spot at least, and Fizzy will know this, and I was assumed that so would Jem Bullock-Bossi. He would have seen that gap just absolutely evaporate. Oh, goodness me, nearly impact between the two. And yeah, Fizzy was completely put off then. Jem Bullock-Bossi was really slow through 15, and that put Fizzy completely off his stride, and that's going to put, is that Kalon right behind him?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so
that's Kalon right behind him, also on well, they're not so fresh anymore, but also on Super Softs.
So the battle between these two veterans resumes again, as they were fighting in the lead before. That was, of course, before the pit stops. So now Fizzy and Kalon resume their battle, along with trying to get past Jem Bullock-Bossi and Ramtop as well. It is not done, as we have got 3 racing laps remaining.
And Wycombs is into P9. He's ahead of he's ahead of Cam. I don't know how that's happened, but the Chinese Grand Prix winner, Wycombs, who spun out early in the race, has managed to work his way back up to P9 and now leads that train of cars that we saw just a few laps ago that were all running behind Cam. Wycombs has now taken over the lead of that train. He is on medium compound. He is on the medium compound. And the next car up the road is Kalon on Supersofts, followed by Fizzy on Supersofts. So I believe Wycombs is, unless there's some sort of nightmare scenario for the cars ahead, he is probably not going to do any better than that P9. But that's 2 points more than certainly I was expecting him to get. So kudos to Wycombs with another surprising performance. Again, I certainly was not expecting him to win that Chinese Grand Prix, and simultaneously, I was not expecting him to work his way back up into the points here in Bahrain.
But that's what Wycombs is so good at doing. He just gets his head down and gets on with it. Even if he's not at the cutting edge at the point that he's sort of knuckling down, he will not give up. If he gets the bit between your teeth, he will run with it. Again, we're seeing DRS open for Fizzy on Jem Bullock-Bossi, but of course, Jem Bullock-Bossi has his DRS open as well, so that's going to stall any advancement. 2 racing laps to go. The top 3 are pretty much locked in, but 4th onwards, as again, Ramdrop and Jem Bullock-Bossi are actually gaining on Ryko Gordon. So this train gets even bigger.
Now, if we could see Wycombs catch up to Kalon, then we would see a real train there. That would be truly incredible if we could see a merging of the two massive battles that are going on circuit. And Fizzy is practically pushing Jem Bullock-Bossi's Haas through the 5, 6, and 7 is now the Williams of Enzo Benito, unfortunately causing a little bit more confusion. That should be for the final time in this race, though. Again, it is the penultimate lap of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Fizzy is trying every which way to find a way past that Haas. Kalon as well, trying to take an alternate line through turn 10 there. It really hasn't worked out for him. Fizzy, again, pushing that Haas through. Is he going to try and make a move at turn 11? He was thinking about it. He was just showing his nose to Jem Bullock-Bossi there. You can see the traction that he gets out of turn 11 so much better by comparison to those old mediums on the Haas. He may even try a move here up the inside of turn 13. No, not quite for AOR Fizzy. And Kalon actually closes up as a result of this battling that's going on. Fizzy is going to pull to the inside, though, on Jem Bullock-Bossi as they head into the final corner. Kalon is going to be able to take the full racing line. Oh, but he's got to get onto the brakes after nearly running into the back of that back of the Haas. He's going to go to the right-hand side. Excuse me. I don't even know left from right. It's so exciting. He's going to pick up the slipstream off of Fizzy here as they drive through the marbles down the start-finish straight 200 miles an hour into turn 1, heavy on the brakes. AOR Fizzy holding on to that position with the inside line from Jem Bolibasi, but Jem will get the inside line for turn 2. Oh, side-by-side battling, and it's so glorious, and Fizzy looks like he's just narrowly going to edge him out. Jem trying to pick up the slipstream, but Fizzy very defensive into turn 4 and holds on to that position. Kalon tries to get by the Haas as well, but can't quite manage to sneak up the inside at the exit of 4, and this is incredible battling we're seeing.
Absolutely amazing. I think a few of those possible overtaking maneuvers were as a result of the tail of Fizzy kicking up, but his fuel line is bright red. He is going to hope that he has enough fuel to get him to the end. I think everyone's fuel is going to be red, quite frankly, on the last lap. Graham, he is heading down towards 15. He has had a pretty easy race. He can probably get out and push at this point. He's got no worries at all. He's come around the last corner there. If you keep up with the rest of the decent battle. Here comes Graham. I thought he was going to go into the pits then, but he didn't. Your winner here in Bahrain is Graham Carroll.
And Ali Pakala with a solid second place. He does finish on the podium this time. RBK in the Haas is just about going to hold on to the final podium position ahead of that long train of cars. Actually, Raiko Gordon has really fallen off there. Raiko Gordon now coming under pressure, actually, from Ramdrop. They cross the line very close between them. He's going to swerve his way across. He's obviously very excited about that. Kalon is going to finish just ahead of... my God, is that Wycombs that's finished just ahead of or just behind him? But Nick Mido, unfortunately, is going to finish just outside of the points in P11. And what an incredible race! Cam, something has happened with Cam.
Where is he?
Yeah, something has happened with Cam. He's down in P16.
16. Yeah, that's he must have gone off track somewhere. I mean,
has he been in the pits? Because I don't remember him wearing that set of super softs.
He may have had a puncture. We completely missed it with action going on up and down and here, there, and everywhere. We completely missed what was going on. Yeah, but that is every. As we have it, the Toro Rosso had actually run out of fuel. That's why it was going that slowly with the McLaren slamming into the back of it after the race had done. But that is it. Your race is wow. Whilst it wasn't a battle for the win, there is a very happy Graham Carroll taking that top spot. Everyone weirdly looking like Adrian Sutil, except for the Haas driver, he looks a little bit different. But there we go. There's a Graham Carroll taking a very commanding win then, taking the full 25 with Oslo bolstering to his 4th position from last time, and RBK getting so he didn't finish last time around. He was actually thrown into the wall at the end of lap 1 last time around, so he'll be very glad. There's the final position. So Justin, run through those.
Yep, so it is Graham Carroll that picks up the win, just 5.8 seconds ahead of Ali Pakala in the Ferrari. Then comes the Haas of RBK, the Red Bull of Raiko Gordon just outside the rostrum. Ram Drop in the Force India will finish in 5th, just ahead of his Force India teammate AOR Fizzy, who does a much better job in this race than last time. His big highlight coming at the end of the race when he hit the wall in China. Then comes the Renault of Kalon, a solid 7th place position for him. Wycombs does manage to recover back up to 8th position, and Jem Bolibasi at the end there fell all the way down to 9th. Another disappointing result at the end of the race for Jem Bolibasi. Johnny John in the other Renault is going to make it a double Renault points finish as he picks up 1 point for his efforts in 10th position. Then Nick Mido in 11th position. Michael X99 in the Ferrari, who we did actually see was in the points at various points in the race. He's going to finish in 12th. Marco FD in 13th position, Tom 97 HD in 14th, Max AFC 46 in 15th, Failer 3 in 16th, Cam in 17th, Westy in 18th, and Enzo and Klawitsky rounding out your grid of 20 drivers, of course, with Klawitsky having some problems, Enzo having some problems as well, Enzo Benito. Again, I was kind of hyping that up at the beginning. I was really excited to have Enzo joining because, of course, we did miss him in that first race, and we all know what a competitor he can be, especially from the time trials that we've seen. And I am wondering if we can possibly get some drivers in here.
Let's have a look.
The only person who finished on the podium both times is Graham Carroll, and I do believe he is going to be your new championship leader. Actually, undisputedly, he is going to be the new championship leader with, I believe it's going to be 43 points, 18 and 25. But yeah, Ali Pakala gets his first podium, shockingly enough, after finishing in 4th in the last race. So that's going to put him on 30 points, if my maths are correct.
Indeed,
RBK
it does.
in the Haas as well, getting onto the podium. So fantastic result for him. So let's see if we can get Graham and Ali and RBK in here potentially. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yep, Graham is already awaiting us. Let me grab him, drag him down. All right. Graham, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you now. Thank you so much. And a huge congratulations on that one. Of course, you are now the championship leader with 43 points. And it looked pretty easy in the later stages anyway. We obviously saw at the start Jem Bolakwasi once again with a lightning start, taking that early lead in the race. But as the race progressed, it looked like you had a pretty comfortable lead in the end there.
Yeah, we learned from our mistakes last time and played the strategy a bit better and knew how to sort of look after the tyres a bit better. And yeah, no, I'm just really chuffed for Ollie in P2. You know, Ollie started practicing today. He was like a second and a half off all the time, and for him to pull it, and you kind of knew when the lights go out, he'd do good. So just to get the 1-2 and even better, you know. But shame about Enzo as well. It was a bit of a strange one, but no, awesome race. Just happy to get a win, you know.
Yeah, huge congratulations. Well deserved for sure. I'm going to be totally honest. You weren't on camera for very much of the second half of that race, as we were focused on some incredible battles that were going on in the midfield. The top three were a bit more spaced out than what we were seeing a little bit further down the field. But yeah, huge congratulations. A well-deserved win, a very good drive as well. So, of course, in a good spot heading into the final race. Let's see if we can grab Ali as well, as he's picked up his first podium in the series. Ali, if you're there, congratulations on the second place. I'm sure you would have wished you were a little bit closer to the front, maybe doing some battling with Graham there. But, 4th position in the last one, 2nd now. I think you might be 2nd in the standings, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanks. Well, to be honest, I mean, Sim Racing Expo was last weekend, and we were working like since Tuesday, 16-hour working days. So
Ouch.
you know, I started practicing today. I just been so tired, and today extremely tired. So I'm extremely happy to be P2 here. I was hoping for top 5, maybe in a good luck. So quite amazing.
Yeah, you were definitely within. We went on board a few times with you as the man chasing the leader, of course. So we were on board with you a few points during the race, and you could just about see Graham in the distance at certain parts of the track. But he was just kind of steadily growing that gap out. We weren't really sure, what people were doing with strategy as well. We weren't sure who was saving tires and everything, but huge congratulations. As I mentioned, I believe you are now 2nd in the points, so great podium for you. And then RBK, there's RBK. I want to grab our other podium finisher here. RBK, can you join us for just a moment, if you don't mind, to tell us about, we actually didn't see you very much on the stream. So similar to Cam last week, who got that kind of quiet 3rd position. You weren't involved in a lot of battles, but a solid podium finish for you.
Hello. Yeah, that was pretty awesome race from my point of view. Qualifying very far behind from 15. My start was pretty big. I gained about 7 positions on the roundabout side. So that was really crazy, and then I focused on battling with every driver that was ahead of me.
Well, huge congratulations. Obviously, that was a fantastic drive to get onto the podium with competition as stiff as we're seeing in these races. That is no small feat. So huge congratulations on that. But I think that is going to round out our stream. Of course, tune in tomorrow for the PS4 stream. And then, of course, next week, we're going to have the 3rd and final rounds of the Xbox, PC, and PS4 streams. Those will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, respectively. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Huge congratulations to Graham Carroll, Ali Pakala, and RBK for picking up their podiums today, and Graham's win, of course. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo! I'm sweaty from that.
Damn!
My My shirt is sticking to me. I'm actually sweaty. I might be more sweaty than you racers.
I don't know about that, mate. Fucking soaking here.
Great effort, gentlemen. Absolutely great effort.
Yep, you guys make our job super easy, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, cheers for putting it all on and done a good job as well. So flag that to you guys.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Really
enjoyed that.
Thanks, guys. Good effort. I'm gonna now open a birthday vodka bottle and go to sleep.
Enjoy that. You've earned it.
See you later.
Yeah, later, guys.
See you again.
Yeah. See you next week. Woo, man. I really am sweaty though. I'm not making that up. I am completely just drenched. My arms, my chest, my forehead, my back.
Hey,
I need
Ryan.
to change my shirt.
Clifton,
Hey, Ryan.
stop sweating yourself.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I think we broke 500 at one point during that stream.
I wasn't looking.
This looks way more fun than that full
500 and something. You did it at 500.
Yeah, but the Xbox One did 1600 on week 1 and 800 on week
yesterday.
2. We did 800 on week 1, and I was expecting it's the same thing for it to get cut in half, but it obviously didn't get cut in half. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I'll take that. You guys nailed it yesterday. Absolutely stunning.
I wouldn't say so.
Oh, well.
Someone nailed me into turn 2.
Yeah, I saw that.
We saw it in the background because I had the camera focused on the leaders, but I was like, "Yep, that is a Mercedes off in the background." I'm seeing a lot of carbon fiber.
Well, there was no damage, weirdly enough. But did you see who took me out?
No,
I think there was two cars.
Didn't see who it was. Just the fact that it happened.
Yeah, we just saw you spinning off, and that was it.
I could have had points today.
Ah, man.
Well, I mean, it's an incredible. Like, this is, I think, these races have been even more competitive than typical AOR races.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a whole other level. And that goes for Xbox and stuff. Xbox, you got Flying Finn and Noble Tuna. People that have never raced each other before. And
I was disappointed to see that damn Christmas tree light effect still happens on the tires.
Is it back?
Yeah,
or it was for him. It
was for me. Yeah,
I was all right, but
and several people were on the different color tires on screen to what they actually were on. So those issues are still there.
I think there were not many two-stoppers.
No.
Yeah, I don't think there were really any two-stoppers, possibly even.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think there were. No.
Well, I mean, Chris and I pointed out at the beginning of the stream that the top 3 from last week were all one-stoppers, we figured everybody probably picked up on that, and, we're probably going to try and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, you had some yesterday, didn't you, Ryan?
What's that?
You had some two-stoppers yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a couple.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I did get slated in the comments. I was like, oh no, it's everyone saying one stops. I'm like, oh.
I was planning to do super soft that I did Saturday, but I decided to go for, I don't know, an undercut that I couldn't make because I was lost so far behind already.
I only based my thoughts